Please rise. For silent prayer, followed by the salute of the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Election Secretary Clerk, call the roll.
Carter. Whitehill.
Here.
Holmes.
Here.
Simmons.
Here.
Sacks.
Here.
Adams. Here. Wolf.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
Eldridge. Here.
Here.
Worship.
Here.
Livonia.
Here.
Cousin.
Here.
Here.
Shamita.
Here.
Mussman. Here. Solera.
Here.
Fuzzy.
Here.
Bolton. Here. Morrell.
Here.
Not.
Here.
Skoda. 191 present, 9 active, we have quorum.
I didn't get to see you. Thank you. I'm going to open a public hearing on local law 3 of 2024. I'm going to request the clerk read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that on the 10th day of July 2024 at 7 p.m. in Columbia County Board of Supervisors to hold a public hearing in the Board of Supervisors chambers located at 401 State Street, Hudson, New York, concerning the enactment of proposed local law 3 of 2024, a local law protecting animals from abuse by establishing a registry for animal abusers. Copies of said proposed local laws are available in the Clerk of the Board's office and online. By order of the Clerk of the Board, Claudia Sakara, July 1st, 2024.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments from supervisors? Supervisor Hogan.
Thank you so much. First, I want to thank the animal advocates here who obviously work so passionately and tirelessly to help animals. I think everyone in the room can agree that it's a worthy cause, and anything we can do to protect innocent animals is something that we absolutely should do. I brought up some questions of public safety. Really get answers to those questions, so I am going to raise them again. The ASPCA is the gold standard when it comes to animal abuse and protecting animals. And through extensive research, they have taken a stance that these types of registries actually do not help prevent animal abuse. And instead, they recommend other steps that we as a county could take to help protect animals. Although this isn't costing us money, it is using resources through the sheriff's office and the DA's office. The alternative methods that are presented by the ASPCA as effective methods also would not cost money, but would instead use those same resources, our sheriff's office, our DA's office, our judges, to take steps that actually would prevent animal abuse. So I think that we as a county have all the right passion, all the right intention, but we really need to look at the data, and we need to look at what the ASPCA is saying and use our resources in a way that will achieve our goal, which is to protect these innocent animals that we all want so badly to protect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other supervisors? Supervisor Cheese.
Thank you. Yeah, I also want to echo the sentiment. Like, I'm really proud that our county is considering animal rights so importantly. It's something that I really care for. At the same time, I think that this law does a few things that I think give it an extra look. Is that it creates a new bureaucracy, it regulates small businesses, and it potentially risks putting people in jail for up to a year. So those are all really serious things that I think are worth taking a look at. I did another read through the proposed law today, and I just wanted to point out 3 problems and offer 2 alternate solutions. So one is at the end of the last public safety meeting, people brought up an alleged animal abuse case of a horse on a farm in Greene County. And I wanted to point out sort of how this law would really not benefit or prevent abuse like that. That abuses that actually happened is really terrible, but at the same time, this law is ineffective at doing those things. One is that the Greene County already has a registry and it failed to prevent that abuse. 2 is that this local law does not cover horses. It defines, if you read the law, it defines horses as a farm animal. Local law does not cover farm animals. 3, the local law does not cover farms. According to the article, it is about a horse on a farm. So this local law would not prevent that kind of abuse. So I just want to be clear about the kind of scope that this thing might do. Number 2 is I was noticing that the local law that was noticed in the public hearing was different than the law that was proposed at public safety. I think the version of public safety, section 6 was crossed out. And then I noticed that in this version, it was sort of uncropped out. So I'd love to get an opinion after I'm done from the attorney, both like, how does that happen? And I guess also some of the backstory, who decided to sort of uncross out that section? And are we voting on the version that got passed in public safety, or are we voting on the version that was issued in the public hearing? And then number 3, I noticed that there's a phone number that's given for the sheriff's office. It's an 845 number, and that makes me suspicious that number is not actually to the Columbia County Sheriff, and it's just somebody else. So I guess I wonder if that's worth fact checking. A lot of these things make me wonder like how detailed and how thorough this local law has been looked at. And again, it's creating a new bureaucracy that potentially regulates small businesses and could be in jail for up to a year. But I think it's really worth giving this a careful comb over to make sure it's right. And the 2 alternate things that we can do is, as the ASPCA recommends, you can fix a lot of this through sentencing. When you're sentencing someone who's committing animal abuse, you can make a lot of these regulations, and that's just a way more effective thing to cover, and it can cover things like farm animals. And then number 2 is, if we're really concerned about animals, I just wanted to flag, there's actually a proposed law at the federal level that would strip states and local governments from passing animal welfare laws that would regulate farms. It's called the EATS Act. It actually would overturn a number of New York State's laws that protect horses. So we're actually here to try to protect the welfare of horses. We got to make sure that that EATS Act is not passed at the federal level. And there's a version of that EATS Act that's part of the House version of the Farm Bill. And so for all of us who really care about animal welfare, this EATS Act does not get passed. So thank you.
Any other supervisors? Supervisor will go in there.
I don't know if you wanted to respond, Rob, first to his question, and then I have.
Yeah, just trying to respond. If I miss anything, just remind me. My job as your county attorney, I handle your civil jurisdiction, so to speak. So when I looked at this law, my review was, do you have the authority to regulate this as an interest? And you do, because owning an animal is a property interest. So you do have the authority to do that. You have the authority to regulate businesses that way. I think you do. You know, this law could be subject to challenge by someone saying you can't put me on a registry and those types of things, but we've seen other registries this way. So that was my review. Legally, can you do this as a local law? And I believe you have, and it's been done in other places and it's withstood it. Aside from that, we got the district attorney and the proponents of the law together, because the district attorney is going to enforce this law and administer this law. He's going to, you know, use his discretion in his office as to how it's applied. There was a couple of meetings between everybody on that, and when they got it to their satisfaction, that it moved forward to public safety was my understanding. I think there was another, you know, final review, and there were some concerns about some minor language changes, and that happened. To your point, which version are we voting on? You're voting on the version you have tonight, and if there's a typo in the phone number, that would have to be corrected. That's not the sheriff's office with an 845, obviously. But the version you're voting on tonight, there were some minor adjustments to the law, and it was reverting back to a previous version, was my understanding. And the components are here if they wanted to explain what those changes were. If you believe those are really substantial changes, then you take a look and go back. In my opinion, they weren't substantial changes. They were just minor adjustments, which are okay to go forward with. But that, again, that's in your discretion as supervisor.
We'll go in there.
Yeah, I think that this was presented to public safety twice. It was presented to the full board originally by a different group. I think there was some confusion to that history you had asked. The original was a different party, and then these 2 individuals here presented to public safety twice. We had a discussion on this 2 different times. The last public safety meeting, I specifically asked the sheriff if he supports this. He does. I asked the district attorney if he supports this. He does. I think that no one in this room is not looking to protect animals. I understand that. And maybe people are looking for a different or a better way, what they perceive to be a better way. But this is a step in the right direction. It's a registry. If it saves one animal, if it saves one dog, one cat, to me, it's worth it. I was concerned that the sheriff didn't have the time to do it. He said, no, that's not a problem. And as far as the ASPCA as being the gold standard or not, honestly, I don't know that to be true or not true. It may be true. And maybe we could do more. But I don't see how this hurts. I don't see how if we start a registry, again, if it saves one animal, I think we should I think it's imperative that the county gets on board for this, and I fully support it. So thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Adams?
So I would just like to add that the ASPCA decided to do this white paper based on a 10-year look back at these registries. It wasn't just because they didn't have anything else to do. And I think the points that they made in that white paper were valid, but they also encouraged me to look at the other counties around us that had formed these registries. And I'm sorry I didn't bring the data with me tonight, but two of our neighboring counties, Ulster and Dutchess, I believe, have had these registries in place for a number of years. And one of them had the registry in place for 4 years and had only 10 people registered. The other had their registry in place for an equivalent number of years and had 0 people registered. So I do think that the ASPCA, the theory that they presented, that these are less than functioning pieces of legislature, that there are better ways to do this, less cumbersome, less bureaucratic ways to do this, is a good point. And for that reason, I can't support the law tonight.
The other supervisors? Supervisor Collins?
I just had a question for maybe Attorney Fitzsimmons. One of the exemptions are service animals. Is that an ADA implication? Because it seems odd that we would, have this registry after convicting someone of, let's say, beating their dog and then allow them to beat a service dog.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, under federal law, you can't take away a service animal. So if they've done their time and whatever the initial crime was, and then they're out now, and they happen to suffer an injury later and become blind, which you and I haven't seen eye dog, I guess is the issue. And the answer is legally you can.
Well, if someone beats RIN 1010, and employ a brother to go guide you through an airport, right?
That's policy determination, and that's policy determination that's probably above our pay grade here. And federal law.
All right, thank you, Attorney.
Thank you. Any other supervisors? Okay, does anyone from the public have any comment?
Hi, Linda Gunter, Everlasting Hope Animal Rescue. I just want to point out that the New York Humane Association and the National Humane Association both support animal abuse registries. And I wanted to explain the section 6 that you mentioned was X'd out and then added. The language was changed. There was something in that said, I don't have the X'd out part, but it said something about no person who is registered or required to register shall own, possess, have custody, or have contact with, I believe, animals. And the DA felt that having contact with was a little bit too broad, but he agreed with the changed language. So that's why that was changed. The ASPCA statement is 7 years old. A lot of the references in there to different animal abuse laws at that time that didn't have any people on them is not the case now. They mention Albany County at the time that was written had 3. They now have 30. The expense that they reference in their statement is for the people who were looking to do state registries, not county registries. And I imagine that the expense of creating and maintaining a state registry would be a lot more than a county registry. So that doesn't really fit in what we are talking about. It's basically an opinion. I tried to Google the on the ASPCA statement, the expense that it talked about of different states that tried to do this, and it was like hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars to create and do a state registry. And they specifically mentioned California. I couldn't find anything that talked about California coming up with an expense like that and deciding not to do it. So I don't know where they got that information from. But again, their report is old, and it's very much an opinion, and I don't feel real confident that it's based on a lot of facts that I tried to research and couldn't find. That's
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Mr. Chairman, just to follow up on that public comment, attorney, for Rob's purposes, section 6 is still called prohibition on contact. If we took contact out of the language, shouldn't we call the section prohibition on contact? We should probably call prohibition on companion animals or ownership of companion animals.
Yeah, I mean, I know the DA and it's gone back.
Well, I understand why you took contact out of the body, but we're calling the heading prohibition on contact. So we don't have contact in the body anymore. It should be cleaned up. I'm okay if we, it seems like we can work on this a little bit more. I would give it a month to clean up, get some more input, maybe do some guidelines that take into account everybody's opinions here.
Other comments? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for a roll call vote on local law 3 of 2024.
Clarification. We're voting on it as is with the wrong phone number and contact still left in.
The only thing I would say is, Kelly, you should note for the record that the proper contact number for the sheriff's office is 518-828-0601. And it is our practice if there's just a typo or something, fix it. Every resolution has that.
No, I know, but he asked for a roll call and that change hadn't been made.
Yeah, I was gonna have to bring that up anyway. We would pick that. And in contact, I would defer to. I mean, it says own, possess, or have custody of. Those 3 words seem to insinuate contact to me, and I don't want to change the DA's intent.
Now, contact would mean you have a roommate or a housemate or a group home where somebody has a dog. I think it's a blatant error. I'd make a motion before the roll call to table it for 1 month so we can clean this thing up a little bit.
Second.
I understand it would take 2 minutes.
I mean, I've asked for the roll call.
Yeah, I mean, we had a motion to go for the roll call vote before we got there, so I think that's what's on the floor right now.
So we're voting on.
We're voting on the adoption of the local law.
Can't you withdraw the motion?
If you don't believe that the law should be adopted, then vote no.
But
If you
again,
want to
that
get
was
more
clarification. We also hadn't changed the phone number before we called for the roll call, so we are voting on it with the wrong phone number.
No, we're voting on it with the right phone number because we always have to practice of correcting a minor typo or issue. You're voting on the law with the correct phone number. If you don't think, if you want to either table the law, have further consideration of the law, or you just don't like the law, your vote on it would be no. If you want to go with it as is with the corrected phone number, then you would vote yes.
Just point of clarification. The DA reviewed this law.
Yes.
And the DA,
At least twice.
approved it as it is.
Yes.
What numbers? I think they just missed something.
And the sheriff's office reviewed it as well.
I review things all the time that I miss.
So just to clarify, the sheriff also reviewed it and 845 phone numbers in it.
Or did I review this?
Maybe the review wasn't as thorough as it needed to be.
I don't think anybody's against this concept. I just think we shouldn't pass something that has a blatant error. That's all. It looks silly.
Supervisor Eldridge.
So my question still hasn't been answered. Can it be withdrawn, the motion for the roll call vote?
I've asked for a roll call vote, like as the county attorney said, if you vote against it, if you choose to, and then if it gets voted down, then we can revisit it.
That still is to answer the question. And the motion, you withdrawn.
No, because you have an order of business before the board, and that business has to be concluded. If we let someone make a motion to table and someone make another motion and another motion and another motion, it's a Robert's Rule of Order thing. You have to do what the business is before the board, either yay or nay goes or doesn't, and then you can take the next step. Otherwise, someone could just continually make motions again and again and again and again, and we never make any progress.
So again, I'll ask for a roll call vote on local law 3 of 2024.
MacArthur. Whitedale.
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
Stats.
Could I just ask a question? Is there any reason that this is time sensitive that we couldn't put it up a month and clean this up or answer the other questions that are asked?
I mean, this has been going back and forth for, you know,
I
quite
know, well, one more month is really make a difference. There's a lot of obvious questions, unanswered questions. So if it's not time sensitive, in my vote.
You vote no?
Adams,
No,
Wolf,
No.
Collins,
No.
Ryder,
I'm gonna vote no unless we can correct the typo. That's, we can't have a heading in a local law be incorrect.
Eldridge.
No.
Elsley.
I agree. I think we should clean up it's not time sensitive. I'm fully supportive of the law. I just think that we, clean up the language and we bring it back before the board and it'll be approved. So I have to vote no.
Warchuk.
Agree with Supervisor Halsey, vote no.
Livonia.
Yes.
Cousin.
No.
Demus. No. Lessman.
No.
Scolaire.
No.
Cousin.
Yes.
Holding.
No.
Morale.
Yes.
Not.
Yes.
Skoda. We have 95 A's and 105 nays. It's the local and stock tax.
On the local law, not here, I think that, it is and do refer back to public safety. So some point of supervisor, if you want to bring it back up, that's where we're going.
Can we fix this in session, Rob?
Fix it here tonight. You voted it down, so it really needs to go back to the committee and address the issues there. I mean, someone might want to address all of the issues that came up tonight.
I mean, I understand we have a committee system, but we're also authorized to act.
Can I ask a legal question that you may or may not know an answer to now? Are we right now, assuming the EATS Act doesn't pass, are we now allowed to add in horses and farm animals if we're going to do a registry about animal abuse? Is there a reason that Michael brought up, if we're going to do it, let's protect all animals? Is there a legal reason that it only is for pets?
We didn't notice that. So that's a little bit broader. I mean, to add farms and farm animals, we got a large farm constituency here in Columbia County. I would be hesitant to do that because you might have had a lot of farmers that would have come and spoke for or against it.
but wouldn't
And
that
that wasn't always
wouldn't
legal
that be
based.
regulated in ag and markets as opposed to us?
Well, I thought his point was that we didn't have the ability to regulate.
No, he said there's a federal legislation right now that would take away states and municipalities' rights to regulate farm animals. My point is, if it's going back to public safety anyway, and we're gonna make changes, and we legally are allowed to, that person who abused the horse in Green County, if we're legally allowed to put something like that on the registry, why don't we not do that?
Yeah, that's a different division and the law. So
So again, if it's going back to public safety anyway, it's gonna be re-noticed if the farmers want to come out and say strike it.
Yep, that's appropriate.
Okay. So we'll go back to, with revisions back to public safety. Okay. I need a motion to pay the bills, accept the treasurer's report, and file the minutes within the clerk's office. Hello.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I would like to request the clerk read the resolutions.
Resolution 261/2024 to 281/2024 by Supervisor Holden.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 283/2024 through 302/2024 by Supervisor Knott.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. That's it.
Yep.
Do any supervisors have any business to bring before the board? Supervisor Collins.
I'd like to thank Director McGann for coming out in case there were any questions on the resolution about public, even though there weren't. So thank you for taking your extra time.
Supervisor Holden.
I would like to thank you, Chairman, and anyone else involved, Supervisor Knott, for meeting with the Hudson Common Council regarding 11 Warren Street. I heard that there was a good meeting, and moving forward, as we talked about, we're going to involve them and the public on kind of the facade and those next steps, landscaping decisions, and I really appreciate all of you taking the time to do that. I hope that we just keep an open line of communication with the elected officials.
Thank you. Any other supervisors? And with that, motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.